If you love boxing, you're gonna love this.
Hello and welcome to episode 30 of the BoxNation podcast, sponsored by 32 Red. I'm your host, Dev Sani, and this week I am not joined by Bruce Willis. I am not joined by legendary American referee Steve Willis. I am not joined by 1980s fringe heavyweight contender James Tillis. No, I am joined by the one, the only, the irresistible Steve Lillis. How are you?
Hey, I mean, who would you prefer, me or Bruce, Steve, or James Quick?
You every single day of the week and
You've
twice
got me.
on Sundays. That's the one, yeah?
You've got me.
How you doing? You watching
I'm
the World
good.
Cup?
Loving the World Cup, mate. Loving it.
And last week you said it's not going to come home. Spain are going to win and all of that. But I'm telling you, Steve, it looks like it's coming home. Yeah, how about it? Just smash Panama.
It's not coming home. They smashed the team that won 3 qualifying games out of 10 and finished with a minus goal difference. Fantastic win, but let's not get carried away. I still say Spain are going to come good.
Yeah, well, we got Belgium coming up, so that I think that will be a bit of a test of if it truly is coming home. Anyway, this week we hear from homecoming hero Mick Conlan. It's his big night on Saturday. He's done New York, he's done Chicago, he's done Brisbane, and now it's time at last to fight in front of his fans in Belfast. We look back at last weekend's show at the O2 Arena featuring wins for Daniel Dubois, Anthony Yarder, Hara Davis, Martin Murray and so many others. Tyson Fury is on the show, the lineal heavyweight champion. Yeah, I said it. I mean, he's the man that beat the man, isn't he? And he's an active boxer. So he's the lineal heavyweight champ in my book. But he's on the show. We hear from Paddy Barnes, Troy Williamson. Steve Lillis is charging up as we speak for his now world-famous What You Talking About Lillis section. So lend us your ear for the next hour or so, and we will bring you another weekly dose of boxing ear candy. Enjoy. Now, I've been hearing it all week. It's coming home. And yeah, we talked about it at the top of the show. While I'm generally an optimist, I'm still not entirely sure that football is coming home. I mean, it was sort of Tunisia and Panama. But something that is coming home, someone that is coming home is Mick Conlan. After signing with American promotional powerhouse Top Rank and fighting all around the world for his first Pro 7 fights, the Belfast hero is back this Saturday night live on BoxNation. Steve Lillis caught up with the homecoming hero.
Thanks for joining us, Michael, on the podcast yet again. You're becoming a real regular. And we're very excited this time because we're just a few days away from you fighting back home in Belfast. It must mean the world to you.
Yeah, Steve, it does definitely means the world to me for me to go back home and fight. It's a special feeling, something that I'm really looking forward to.
I mean, when was the last time you actually boxed at home?
I think the last time I boxed home was back in 2010, so it was a long time ago, and I'm really looking forward to getting back there and putting on a great performance for the whole city. And
what do you remember about that fight in 2010, and what was it in?
It was in the Ulster Senior Championships. That was actually the last time I was defeated in Ireland. I got a hard decision against me in the Ulster Seniors. I decided I wouldn't box them again, and I decided to go down and win the Irish Elite Championships. And I went and done that.
Do you remember it was you boxed that day?
Yeah, I boxed a guy called Declan Milligan. I think he actually retired after he got the decision. it was horrible to take.
So you broke a boxer's heart, sent him to retirement after he won.
Yeah, that's kind of what happened.
Well, what's fascinating, I've been looking at all the other guys on the bill next Saturday night, and there's a lot of kids like you is starting their career, or not a lot, there's a few on there who you actually beat as amateurs, as an amateur, isn't there?
Yeah, there's one or two, I think. Declan Garcia's one. I don't need to go through the rest of them, saying who else is there. I've competed with these guys throughout my amateur career, most of them, and I've been on the same teams and same trips with them, so it's great to kind of share a car with people who I've came up and boxing with.
How strong is Irish boxing at the moment? Is it at its strongest ever?
I think so. I think we had to go in the age of Irish amateur boxing for the previous two Olympic Games before 2016, and I feel now that we're coming into the golden age of professional boxing in Ireland with all these guys turning pro, including myself, Paddy, and even the likes of Carl and stuff. He turned pro a bit earlier, but this we've all kind of added to this kind of era of Irish boxing, which I think is going to make our professional boxing take it up another level.
Do you think it would ever be possible for you, Carl, and Paddy to all defend world titles on the same bill?
That would be unbelievable. It's probably hard with the way things work out in timing and stuff, but I think we're all with the same management team, so it's definitely a possibility.
There's another guy on the bill, I think, Lewis Crocker. What do you know about him?
Yeah, I know Lewis is a young kid from Belfast. Huge follow. I think I'm not sure he has a huge following, but he's a huge puncher and very skilled and very fast. So there's a lot of talk around Lewis, and there has been since he was even a young kid. So he was knocking kids out in the amateurs when he was like 15, 16. So this kid can bang and be something for the Belfast fans to look forward to.
What sort of pressures do you feel next week, especially with having what you call your toughest professional fight to date? Because people are expecting a lot from you, I should think, having not seen you for a long time.
If I'm honest, Steve, I'm not taking no pressure on it. I've boxed in a solo Madison Square Garden, and I've boxed at the highest level as an amateur and stuff, and this is just another fight for me. The atmosphere is the thing I'm looking forward to most, if I'm honest. It's going to be an unbelievable atmosphere, but something that I've kind of experienced already in my career. And, on the Boston Paddy stage that I've boxed, I think the atmosphere is the atmosphere of those events have built me for this one. So, I feel like I'm excited. I'm more looking forward to it than nervous or feeling pressure. It's something that I feel that I can go and showcase my skills. It is a step up task, and it is a dangerous fight so early on in my career, but at the same time, I know where I'm going to be, and I know the talent I have, and I know the ability I have. The best thing for me to do is just not get complacent, and I won't. I've trained religiously, and I feel that I'm in the best condition I've been in. Had a great training camp, and I'm really looking forward to the next just putting on a show.
Yeah, your opponent Dos Santos, he's been beaten at world level, but is it fair to say he still levels above anybody you've boxed so far as a professional?
Yeah, I would say so. Anybody who has boxed as a professional so far hasn't had a losing record. I've been with decent opponents for kind of a young novice professional, but I obviously have that amateur experience, and that's the reason why. But Dos Santos is definitely a few levels above the guys I've faced so far. It's definitely something that's excited me. I feel that the better the opponent I face, the better I'll be.
Top Rank, I know they've got everything mapped out for you. That's why they're the number one promoters in the world. Are there plans to bring you back once a year at the moment, or anything like that?
Yeah, that was the aim since I turned pro with them. I wanted to have a contract that I was boxing around at least once a year. I do want to be sure that I live at home, and I think they're doing a great job so far. I think they'll keep coming back as long as Belfast is a good show for us, and I think it will be.
I mean, if there is, obviously you're madly excited, and your family are all excited for next week. Your mum, your mum Teresa, your dad John, all your brothers. Is it a little bit of a disappointment that Jamie isn't boxing on the bill with you?
For me, no. I'm honest, no, not for me. And even for Jamie, I don't think so. I think he's happy to play the role he's in at the minute, work in the management role, and he's doing a fantastic job. I think that if he was to kind of be fighting the same as me, it would be uncomfortable for both of us. But it would be something we could definitely do, and something that would be class. But at the same time, I'm happy with the way things are going, and how this is rolling with him working and being in my corner and getting to see me the whole time.
I mean, how do you think he's taking to the management, like being a businessman and flying around to conventions and mixing with all these people?
I think he's really enjoying it, and he's doing a great job. He's doing the top rank and stuff at the minute, and they seem to get on really well together and have a good relationship, and kind of have the understanding of the manager promoter kind of roles, and he knows what he's at. So he's having fun, and I like to see him enjoying the side of the sport.
And finally, Adam Booth, how's it going with Adam?
It's going fantastic, Steve, if I'm honest, and I know fighters say it, it's kind of a cliche to say it's the best camp they've had so far, and they always do. Near every fighter says that after every training camp, but this is definitely the best one we've had so far. We've had some great sparring down, and I've been working really well and performing really well in the gym. So now it's all about, and I've been learning every day as well. And now it's all about just going in and putting it in the action.
And what is so special about Adam Booth as a trainer? The Dark Lord, as people call him, because even fighters who leave him, you never have left him and gone elsewhere. You've never hear him anyone say. You never hear a word from anybody in boxing saying he's a bad trainer. Why is that?
I think he has a great understanding of boxing, a great understanding of people, and he knows how to manage a guy, he knows how to get them mentally right, physically right, tactically right, and I think he's just a whole package as a coach, and at the end of the day as well, he's a very good guy. So I really enjoy it. I think he's a very smart man. I really enjoy working under him. I feel like I'm learning every day I'm in the gym with him, and that's something that is very important for a fighter. They always need to be kind of stimulated, and he's kind of doing that every day.
So, Steve, his first fight back home, he could have had a complete knockover job, I guess, and been forgiven. But this Dos Santos fella isn't that. We saw him took a Kid Galahad the distance a couple of years back. So, what are we expecting from Mick Conlan on Saturday?
A big performance I'm expecting from Mick. It's his first fight in Belfast since February 2011, which was a night he'd want to forget because he lost that night. And it's a homecoming fight for him. Everything, I think they got 6,000-7,000 fans expected in there, which is quite magnificent. And although, let's got to say, Dos Santos has been found wanting against the world's best, he's a huge step up from what Mick's been facing. Although I think all of his opponents, or most of them, all of them, I think, have had winning records or 50-50 records. Mm-hmm. Dos Santos is a big step up. Of course, he went the distance with Kid Galahad that night, showed some toughness that night. I think he was down early in the fight, but got on and lasted the 12 rounds, which says a lot about, his grit and determination. And he fought Jesse Magdaleno for the world title. He's also been, I hope you look at these losses, there is a loss there against Evgeny Smirnov, a decent Russian, and that was in Russia recently. So, look, he's a good opponent for Mick at this stage of his career. And if Mick gets a stoppage, it will be a hell of a statement. Yes,
it would be. Tell me this, Steve. His professional debut was at Madison Square Garden in the theatre. Conor McGregor walked him out to the ring. It was packed and it was a crazy night. What do you think is going to be more nerve-wracking, more daunting for him? That night of his pro debut or this homecoming in front of a packed-out Belfast hometown crowd? What do you think?
Oh, it's got to be, for me, his debut in Madison Square Garden, because the spotlight of the world really was on him that night when he fought Tim Barra. It was St. Patrick's Day. The month before, him and Matthew Macklin had been going around New York selling tickets, old school style, in bars, etc. Something you don't do in America. McGregor was there on the night, and of course it was, the first fight since the controversy at the Olympics when he did his famous finger sign. He's boxed 4 times, I think, at the Garden now. Coming home this weekend will be more of a celebration for him. I don't think he'll feel the pressure anything like he did there. I think it'll be the sort of pressure he'll have, will be excitement for performing at home where his mum and dad are watching, his family, his friends who haven't been able to afford to get to America. It'll be excitement this week. The biggest problem this week for Adam Booth won't be seeing how he's feeling the pressure, but keeping him from getting too excited and carried away. Because it's a big thing to be headlining the biggest indoor venue in your home city in your 8th professional fight. And you've not had a title fight yet. He's that big in Belfast. He's headlining and there's not even a title on the line. It says all you need to know about the power of Conlan and Irish boxing at the moment.
Yeah, it's a different sort of occasion this time. As you said, I think celebration is a very strong word there, and it's going to be a balmy night, I'm sure, at the SSE Arena. But tell me this, how long, so he's a featherweight, Mick Conlan, how long before we actually start seeing him banging on the doors of your Josh Warringtons, maybe having a little upwards glance at Carl Frampton? I know they'll probably never fight, I'm dreaming. But how far away is he from the top featherweights?
But he's still some way to go. Look, it isn't about, I think it was something Frank Warren alludes to a lot about boxers, and it's true. It's not about just, winning the title. It's about winning it and keeping it. Look, he's got a fantastic amateur pedigree. 2015 World Amateur Champion. That to me, winning the amateur worlds are harder than an Olympics. Olympics are glory and they're great, hard competitions to win. Being World Amateur Champion is tougher, without the shadow of a doubt. He won those in 2015. The Olympics went wrong for him.
Did they go wrong though, Steve? Look at him now. He stuck those fingers up. The judges got all that press, got a big deal in America. Did they go wrong or did they go very right?
Hey, it went right for him for profile-wise, but him as a fighting man, they went terribly wrong because he never got the gold medal he dreamed of, and that meant a lot more to him.
Well, tell me this, Steve. Could you see him staying with Top Rank for the rest of his career? I feel as though it adds a bit of a mystique, a kind of superstar feel that this hometown hero went over and made it big in the States. Do you think he'll come over here and work with someone or keep working with them and coming over here once a year? How do you see it kind of panning out for Mick Conlan?
Well, his plan at the moment is to come back once a year. That was part of the deal with Top Rank, and I can see him coming back here initially once a year, fighting maybe on a Frank Warren show as he has been, But it depends how it develops. Look, you never say never in boxing. He's very happy with Top Rank at the moment, and so he should be. They've had him on 4 times in Madison Square Garden. He headlined there on his debut. They're bringing him back home just, 13 months after he's turned professional. So the job they're doing, I'm sure at this moment he's looking no further than Top Rank. But you never know what happens in boxing. It's too early to say whether he'll stay with Top Rank for the rest of his career. But he's very, very happy there. And I should think Top Rank, this is his first 10-rounder in his career against Dos Santos. I think, you'll fight another couple of fighters like Dos Santos this year. And I think this time next year, he'll be fighting the fringes of world level. And by the end of 2019, he'll be looking at a world title.
Well, tell me about the rest of the card then, Steve. It's an absolutely stellar lineup, isn't it? I mean, Catrell McKenna, Carol Geraghty. I mean, come on.
Oh, Catrell McKenna is is a great fight. Although, look, Jack's the favourite. It says a lot about him and his confidence in new trainer Jamie Moore that they're going to have this fight so soon in their relationship and take it at short notice. Tyrone McKenna's very hard to prepare for. He's a 6'1" southpaw, and there's a lot at stake for the winner of this. The WBO Intercontinental Super Lightweight Championship on the line, but I dare say the winner will most probably fight O'Hara Davis. The winner of that will most probably fight Terry Flanagan, and then you're going to have someone going into a world title fight. This isn't far off a world title eliminator. It's a fantastic fight. I can't wait for. Another fight. There's 2 other fights I can't wait for on the bill. John O'Carroll, Declan Geraghty. I remember watching their fight on TV when they fought in 2014. Geraghty was ahead on the cards, but in the 3rd round, he started getting a little bit careless with his head and a little bit reckless and losing his rag. And in the 4th round, he got disqualified. It was madness because he was ahead on the cards against Jono, and he's been calling for revenge. And I saw Declan in his last fight. We had it on BoxNation. I think it was against John Quigley in Preston. Yeah. And I thought that was the best he'd boxed. I think I wouldn't be surprised if he upset John O'Carroll this weekend. And the Tyrone McCulloch Joe Ham fight, which is a British title eliminator. Now, okay, they're both unbeaten. We don't know a lot about them. Joe Ham was a decorated amateur in Scotland, and Tyrone did well in the unpaid ranks. But the way they've been going at each other, if you read interviews with them, McCullough's been calling Ham a pig. And I tell you what, they've been at each other, and that's a fight where hardcore fans watching will know. But any casuals tuning in at the weekend or in Belfast, that could be the one that steals something from them, because the war of words has been quite tasty. And also we've got Gary Corcoran. His fight fell through, but they've got him an opponent in now. So I'm glad Gary's getting 8 rounds after he's lost to Jeff Thorne in the world title fight. So it's a good card, and there's a lot of good prospects on the bill. Sonny Edwards is one. He's fighting a guy called Christian Narvaez, and there's a Belfast guy called Lewis Crocker.
The welterweight.
Yeah, this kid is for real. And I was speaking to Mick Conlan about him the other day, and he was saying he remembers
when Mick was in senior competitions, Lewis would be in juniors, 15, 16 years of age. He was 15 years of age, and he remembers seeing him knocking people out cold. And if you speak to people in Belfast about the young boxers they think are going to be the superstar in 4 or 5 years' time, almost to a man, they tell you Lewis Crocker.
Yeah, and I'm just going to give you a little nod on Lewis Crocker here as well. But I've seen him fight a few times. I've seen him knock a few people out. But one thing that really stands out to me here, and maybe this is just me, you can use an emoji with his name. Yeah, they're properly embracing it. They're calling him the Croc, Lewis Crocker. So you use the crocodile emoji. It's there. These little things help. We talk about ticking boxes before you move on. That is a box ticked for Lewis Crocker. He's got power and an emoji. What more do you need, Steve?
Yeah, fantastic. And you know what? It adds to the story of him. You know, it isn't just about, we were talking last week on the show about how fighters sell themselves and, you know, that sort of name, the Croc and all that. It's something people remembers. You know, people who follow boxing like myself and yourself will say, oh, Lewis Crocker. But man in the street, you've seen that Irish guy, the Croc. Yeah. And you need that background like we were saying last week against Umar Sadiq.
Yes, absolutely. Well, what a night it's going to be this Saturday night. We are live on BoxNation from 7:30. Mick Conlan's coming home. There's a stacked, sensational, fiercely competitive undercard, and we can't wait for it. Now, it was confirmed last week that Tyson Fury will be back on August the 18th at Windsor Park as he continues his comeback trail. He'll be fighting on the undercard of Carl Frampton versus Luke Jackson, Paddy Barnes in a world title shot, and it's going to be another memorable night for the city of Belfast. Steve Lillis caught up with Big Tyson.
Tyson, quick return to action after the Safari fight. What sort of opponent are you hoping to get here?
I'm just hoping to get in there and look good and knock somebody out, basically. I'm not topping the bill here. It's an undercard fight, an international 10-round contest. I'm looking to sharpen my tools and look well and feel good, basically.
Yeah. I know you don't give a monkey what people say about you, it seems. But what did you think of some of the reaction to the Safari fight, like people within 4 rounds judging what Joshua would do to you, what Wilder after 4 rounds of action? What do you think of that?
I don't really think much to it, to be fair. It was a great night for Manchester as a city. The fans enjoyed the boxing. There was some great fights on the night. The Mac returned to action. It was an epic night for everybody, really. And I'm just happy to be back. I'm fighting again in 8 weeks, and the roadshow continues. Who knows where it'll be after this?
Some venue, isn't it, this Windsor Park?
Yeah, it's a lovely venue, 20,000 people, so it's pretty similar to the MEN Arena, but it's an outdoor stadium. I've never fought outdoor before, so this is the first of a long career, and I hope it's a sunny day. I hope it's nice and warm.
Yeah, Frank Warren, the promoter, made the point that the last fight you done fantastically well, shedding all the weight, but you were training to lose weight. Is that true, and will that make it a lot different this time, because you're actually more concentrated on boxing and maybe not losing any weight for this fight?
Yeah, I've still got about a stone to lose. I want to get down to about 18 and a half. So yeah, the weight's not going to be an issue. Everything's going really well, to be honest. Me and Ben have got a great relationship, and the training's going excellent, and I'm enjoying myself, and that's the most important thing, I think. Yeah. I think if you go in there and you're happy and everything's good around you, you can only perform good. That's it.
Yeah. I mean, another thing, Ben Davison, that was a surprise choice of trainer. What's made you two gel so quickly as people?
I think we've got good communication between us, and he's a likeable fella, and we get on together. That's the most important thing.
And Joshua Wilder, do you think they're going to fight this year?
I'm not sure. I've got a little inkling that they won't fight this year, but I hope I'm wrong, to be fair. I see Joshua fighting Povetkin instead of Wilder, and the fight will continue. Look, we had to wait a long time for Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather to fight, so I anticipate it'll probably be the same between all of us as well.
Well, I suppose also you're when you're talking, you fighting these you, for example, fighting them, you're also talking fantastic amount of money. It's not a deal that can be done in seconds, is it?
It doesn't seem to be, because everyone's being greedy with them two anyway. It's just like, how much money do they need, how much money do they want to do a fight, basically. But just, it is what it is, isn't it? I suppose the business side is up to the businessman. The boxers will box anybody, and that's what it is.
And yourself for this fight, have you made up your mind where you're going to train? Because we're getting 7-8 weeks out now. He was in Manchester last time.
Yeah, I'm not too sure where I'm going to go to train, to be fair. I've not made a decision. It'd be nice to go away, but I'm sure there's going to be a lot of press stuff to do, and I've got a few shows to do as well. And it's I need to be around my family as well. I don't want to be too far away. So I don't know where we're going to train, but we need to crack on because we start tomorrow. I've got a nice camper van at home, and me and Ben might get on the road, coming somewhere near you. Who knows?
There might be rumours about you and Ben sleeping in a camper van together. You know,
there's 2 beds in there, so don't get any funny ideas. But it won't be the first time anyway. Me and Ben have slept in the same bed.
And you mentioned earlier on, long career. How long is this career, the second career?
Well, the second career, I've just had my debut, which was a successful debut, and I'm going for my second fight only 9 weeks after the first one. So hopefully I'll keep busy throughout my second career and get the fights that I want with Joshua and Wilder. There's no secret that they're the ones I want, and they're the ones I've come back for. I haven't come back to fight Joe Bloggs and Fred Flintstone. I've come back to fight Wilder and Joshua, and hopefully we get them fights made. It wouldn't be considered any achievements for me not to come back and fight these guys. They're the guys I want to fight, and that's the guys that I know that will make the offers to a PT and Frank Warren, and we'll get them fights made next year or this year. Who knows?
Hopefully it's a long time when you do eventually end this career, but are you one of those guys that when the boxing career ends, you won't see you around boxing anymore? You just go and enjoy your life with your family, your sons,
I had nearly 3 years of enjoyment and with the family and all that. It's great, but I need to work, mate. Not for the financial gain or whatever, but I need to work to keep focused on life, basically.
Is that a travelling thing now? Because they always work travellers, building, whatever.
No, I think you can just get too used to doing good things every day, and if every day was Christmas, we wouldn't appreciate anything. And if we have fillet steak and eggs every day, you don't want it. You want something lesser. Whatever you have, if you drive a Rolls Royce every day, you want to jump in a transit van. So, whatever you have, I think everything's good in moderation. And being retired forever at the age of my age, it's a long retirement. So, I want to box as long as I can and have as many fights as I can.
Still feel a young man then?
29 years old, not that old as
baby for a heavyweight.
It is, but I've had a hard, long career since 2008, and as long as I get to fight Wilder and Joshua, I'll be happy.
Sorry about the audio quality there. There was a little bit of wind, a little bit of interference. But Steve, 2 fights in 10 weeks for Tyson Fury. When was the last time, if at all, that he's had that level of activity?
Oh, you know what? I imagine it would be. When he turned professional, I remember around 2009. Was he turned professional in 8 or 9? I can't remember. It was just the second calendar year of his, or the second year. I think he turned professional end of the year. So it's around 2009. He had about 8 or 9 fights. He had a really, really busy start to his career because it seemed in no time he went from making his professional debut to fighting John McDermott for the English title when he got a very controversial decision. He'd had a really busy 2009 leading up to that fight. That's what I can remember. And I remember as soon as he beat John McDermott, I went to Dublin and watched him box a couple of weeks later. So I think it was around 2009 he was really, really busy. But certainly while he's been fighting, should we say, at a good championship level, from say 2011, 2012, nothing like this at all. I mean, 2015, 2 fights, 2014, 2 fights, 2013, 1 fight, 2012, 3 fights. And I am saying that looking at his record, although I was trying to think when he turned professional, I've gone on the box rec. I'm not one of these con men like many journalists who just speak from the top of their head, speak from notes. So I am looking at notes here.
You always put your hands up to it, Steve. You always admit that you are a box rec man.
Yeah, so you should too, instead of conning people. And then in 2018, this is his second fight in 2 months. Fantastic. And you know what? I'd like to see him out again in October. I'd like to see him out in December. So he has 4 fights in 2018. Then next year, he is ready to sink or swim. And having got rounds under his belts in the ring, training longer. A great point he agrees with and Frank Warren made about for the Fury fight. A lot of that was training to lose weight, and he's right.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, you get the feeling now they acknowledge that the Fury fight, Fury really kind of fought within himself. You want someone with more ambition now. And I think that's been acknowledged by Fury and the team generally. So I am looking forward to seeing who they are going to put him in with next. It will be a step up, undoubtedly. So yeah, it'll be good to see where Tyson Fury is, and gradually we're going to learn more and more with each of these sort of comeback fights. They'll step him up, and do you know what? I want to hear that he's sparring young lions. I think he was sparring Nathan Gorman in the build up to this one.
Yeah.
I want to hear he's sparring with Daniel Dubois. This is the sort of stuff that I want to hear. So not only is he gradually stepping up the competition in the ring, but his sparring is top notch. That's what I want to hear.
That's important. You know, I know he's going to go back to Ricky Hatton's gym. Well, he was when I spoke to him, like he was differing between going back to. He was leaning towards going back to Ricky's gym, and going out to Marbella. He was unsure what he was going to do. But I think he knows that the weight's coming off. There's only another stone or so to go, I think, and the best of him hopefully is to come. You know, as you rightly said, they acknowledged. You know, they didn't get it wrong with Seferi. No one was going to know Seferi was going to come and perform like that. But you know what? The thing was after that, what annoyed me more about it wasn't Tyson's performance, wasn't Seferi. It was the trial by Twitter that there was afterwards. As if he's not going to ever do anything again. It's ridiculous. But look, the opponent will step up in Belfast, that I'm sure, and it will gradually get better to the end of the year. And this time next year, we'll all be sitting down saying, yeah, well, he did it or he didn't do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's August the 18th at Windsor Park. One thing we know for sure, boxing is a better place with Tyson Fury in it. Last Saturday night, live on BoxNation, there were wins for Martin Murray, Daniel Dubois, Anthony Yard, Ahara Davis, Umar Sadiq and several others on a stacked show from the O2 Arena. Now, Martin Murray beat Roberto Garcia in a gruelling and foul-filled affair, which he dominated, and he picked up the WBC silver belt. Steve, a quick word on that one.
Yeah, I thought Garcia was lucky not to get disqualified. Because he didn't, you know, let's be honest, we was all predicting a war, but Garcia made sure with his tactics that wasn't going to happen. It was a tough fight for Martin, and when you're 35, you don't want those sort of fights every fight. Look, Martin's just going to hang in there now. And hopefully he will get that big fight. Frank Warren's going to try and get it for him. And we'll see whether he goes mandatory for the WBC title because, you know, as Martin said himself, you know, that there is perhaps, you know, he's coming to the end of his career and the next loss will be the last. So I think Martin will be looking for a tough fight neck when he goes in. Now, when he'll be out next, I don't know. I know he's got a big holiday with his family planned. He's climbing Mount Everest in October. So I think if he's not out in September, we might not sell. I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't see him this year again. So no, he's booked on a massive cruise with his family in December as well. So I think it's a case of he either gets out in September or we won't see him till next year.
Yeah, well, he's clearly got all sorts going on. I mean, Roberto Garcia, I think he was really good to be around in fight week. He was nice to everyone. Didn't turn down an interview. I was around him and the team a bit, and they came across very, very nicely. And then the weigh-in, something just kind of switched in Martin Murray and a little bit of Garcia as well. They stared at each other for maybe too long, and Martin Murray gave him that big shove. And what I've seen since the fight is Roberto Garcia. He seems to be coming across, unfortunately, as a little bit of a sore loser. Have you noticed that at all, Steve?
No, I haven't. You can tell me, Dev, and tell everyone, because I haven't seen that at all. I thought he was laughing in the ring, and I thought what I will say at the weigh-in, and Martin Murray is, if I put 10 boxers I'm closer to than most, none of them are really, you know, a few friends as such, should we say, but I'm closer to Martin than most. But Martin's got to take the blame for what happened at the weigh-in. Yeah,
absolutely. Well, after Martin Murray got the decision, Roberto Garcia was kind of going around the ring and talking to the commentators outside and saying things like, hey, that's what I did on 15 days notice. That's what it's kind of alluding to. I don't know. It seems a little bit sour to me, a little bit bitter to say, "Oh, that's what I do," rather than just saying, "Well done, Martin. You've won the fight. I headbutted you and I punched you low a few times, but you won." And then afterwards, he's been posting stuff on Twitter about how he's been robbed of the belt and things like that. It's just not good to see.
There was no robbery there. And if it said at the press conference to us, look, I've taken a big chance coming here at 15 days notice or 18 days notice, it was, I hope I'm okay. But he's telling us how great he is. Now he's never out the gym, so I don't buy it. And also, Martin Murray might have been in camp for 6 months and fitter. We will say that. But he's suddenly gone from 6 months of 2 training camps for an awkward southpaw to a rough and tough come-forward Tex-Mex.
Good term. Now, O'Hara Davis scored a sensational second-round knockout over Paul Kamanga and picked up the WBC international title. Now, this win could lead to a sensational, mouth-watering clash, providing Jack Catterall does his bit, a mouth-watering clash with Jack Catterall. Here's what O'Hara Davis said about that fight.
Catterall's the opponent that I want next. I'll be watching this fight next weekend. Him and Tyrone McKenna are going to be fighting against each other. Catterall should win that fight quite easily, and then I'd like to get it on with him. They say that he's the best super lightweight that Frank's got, so I'm like, I think that I'm the best. So if you think that he's the best, and I think that I'm the best, I've got nothing against him, but let's fight, because I want to prove that I'm the best, and I'm here to take over. I'm back from under the bus, and at one point I thought that my boxing career could have been done, but then there came Frank Warren, and he gave me life, and he gave me hope, and I'm here, and like I said a few months ago, I'm here to take out all of his super lightweights. Josh Trevor, I was meant to fight first, but he had to go for stuff, so Catterall's next on my hit list.
Now, Steve, I know you've got something lined up for me a little bit later on in the show, specifically on O'Hara Davis, but just tell me about this performance.
It was very, very good for his second fight under Frank Warren. Kamanga, you look at Kamanga's record, C21-1, and some people say, I bet he's fought no one, and of course he wouldn't know too many the names in the records because he's been fighting in Africa, but he'd gone rounds, he'd gone the distance in fights, against okay fighters. That was a stunning win. Show me anyone who said Jack Catterall was going to get that guy out of the way in 2 rounds. They were there to win. They took it at short notice. They're not moaning about the decision, unlike Garcia. They took the fight. They knew the chance they were taking. They got done. They vowed their comeback. All they're giving is credit to O'Hara Davis.
Yeah, very good to see. And it was a sensational Frank Warren televised debut for O'Hara Davis. And I'm sure we'll be seeing him again soon. Wins for Anthony Yarde, Daniel Dubois, both stoppages, both looked impressive. Both beat up their opponents like they stole something. Steve Lillis, were you impressed?
Yeah, Dubois just impresses me all the time because, Tom Little talked the talk and he tried to walk the walk. What impressed me about Dubois, I was thinking beforehand, Daniel's just going to go out there throwing shots and try and get this kid out of the way in the first round because Daniel was agitated at the press conference last week. Yeah. Tom got to him a little bit. Tom had tried through print, in the print media, in broadcast media, on podcasts. He tried to get him at the first press conference at Frederick's restaurant at the Landmark Hotel. He landed and wound Daniel up. And I thought Daniel was going to really lose it when Tom mentioned Daniel's dad. But he got in that ring and he was so patient and methodical. It was a really, really good performance against a fighter who's better than his record suggests. Trust me, I know what Tyson Fury has told me about Tom Little. That was a good win last week. Forget the record. Records are for DJ sometimes, not all the times. That was a good win last week, and Dubois just gets better and better. And there we go again. Last week we were on the podcast talking about who wins Gorman Dubois. You see Gorman and you think, oh, how good's he? You see Dubois when you think, what a patient guy he is. Oh, he's the favourite for that fight. Gorman Dubois, please. He's becoming boxing porn, that fight.
It will be a big fight. Down the line, Frank Warren said it before. He said maybe 4 or 5 fights time, 18 months, build it up, etc., etc. But I'll tell you what impressed me about Daniel Dubois. There was a couple of things. It was a little bit different. So the patience was really impressive because, as you said, Steve, you just think Dubois is just going to go out, kill mode, just throw a load of shots, maybe even get a little bit tired. And that's where the whole take him into deep water thing came from Tom Little. You think Dubois was just going to kind of waste all of his energy, but he didn't. He burst and then he regrouped and then he come again. And he just fought in bursts in that sense. But also, what really, really impressed me at the start of the fight, he went right up into Tom Little's face with his arms in the air and just said, yeah, you've been shouting all of this. You've been calling me all of this. I'm here now. What are you going to do about it? And that was like a big statement.
Yeah, I did notice that. That's a good point. And that says it's all about his confidence. And you know what? The whole thing of that whole fight, not just in the ring, the patience that Martin Bowers, his trainer, had drilled into him, but the whole build-up to that fight, having someone trashing him, that was new to him. He'll learn from that. He'll know how to control it, what to do. That was all part of the learning experience. And you know what? That fight would have done him more good than any of his previous fights and the build-up too, because he learned what it was all about. He's not used to another fighter at a press conference coming back at him where going to a public workout and the guy's on the bag next to you wearing a rubber ring saying he's going to drown you. He handled it all well. But we probably have got to say, fantastic Daniel Dubois. He's getting better and better. But we got to thank Tom Little because he was fantastic to be around in the build-up to that fight. And let's be fair, Tom really sold it brilliantly.
He did. I saw him after as well, and he went into Daniel Dubois' changing room, and they kind of embraced. And Tom Little said, congratulations on your win. Please go on and do something, which is always something for the kind of vanquished fighter to hope that the person who has defeated them goes on to become something very special because it looks better on them. So there was a nice moment there. So talk to me about Anthony Yarde. It's another knockout. He's 16-0, 15 knockouts. He's got a couple of WBO baubles, and it's all about just kind of he's building up his experience, and he's looking good every time, right, Steve?
He's doing everything he has to do. The opponent the other night was there to try and win. We saw him in training in the Peacock gym. He's stretching. Everything he went through was someone who was in fighter mode. I saw him in the hotel on the Thursday morning before the fight, and his trainers wanted a big breakfast. He just wanted some eggs and fruit. So he didn't want to see them eating sausage, egg, bacon and a buffet at some posh hotel in London. He just went and sat quietly, had a little bit of egg and fruit because, he knew he didn't want to be around that sort of environment. I just think, I know they're being careful with Anthony, and I get why, because we're talking to someone who's only had 12 amateur fights, but I think he can move on another level quicker now. Mm-hmm. I would like to see him in against a solid domestic opponent because I think he'll take all the beating.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he's looking good every time. It's that whole thing about he's only had limited amateur experience. People were comparing him to Josh Taylor, who had a great win that night as well, and talking about they've had the similar level of pro fights. And look who Josh Taylor's fighting. However, Josh Taylor was a decorated amateur. He won a Commonwealth medal, didn't he, Steve? You got to think about these things.
Let's not go. You can't compare him with Josh Taylor. It's night and day. Not that they're going to achieve. They could both achieve the same greatness in the sport, mm-hmm. But Josh Taylor's been on Sheffield squad. He's been around the world in big amateur tournaments. This kid, I don't think he went in ABA, regional ABAs, whatever he went. He was only on small shows. It's a different thing. I just to see him fight. I think he can go through most fighters domestically right now, and that's where I'd like to see him go next. But look, they're taking their time, and you know what? Frank's got the track record of doing it. I'm not going to argue with him, whatever I think he should be doing next.
I think what they've got there is it's all the ingredients to make the perfect cake. And you look at it and you've put it all in the oven, you've put it all together and you think, oh, this is going to be really nice. We've just got to get it right. However, if you take it out too early, it's not going to taste as good. And other people are going to look at that cake and they're going to want to destroy that cake because they want shine put on their cake. Yeah. So let's not destroy the cake. Anthony Yarde is going to be a beautiful cake. Let's just take our time and eat it when it's right.
And what I will say, one final thing on Anthony Yarde, how you get your name out there. Something you refer to a lot, Dev. Because you've got a fantastic social media background.
I've dabbled.
You've dabbled. You know the workings of it. I go running with a few mates on a Saturday morning where I live, and one of them said Saturday, "You watching the boxing tonight?" I went, "Yeah, I'm going to watch it on the telly and have the, one World Cup on one, boxing on the other screen, whatever." So he said, "Yeah." He said, "He's a beast, isn't he?" And I thought, who's he on about? Because who's that? He said, "That Yarde who's fighting tonight." And this is a guy who never speak boxing with me. So it shows he's coming across whatever the Twitter world may think about and me about who he should and shouldn't be fighting. That's the sort of thing. It's a measure of how well known you're becoming.
On August the 18th at Windsor Park, the leprechaun Paddy Barnes gets a crack at the WBC World Flyweight title. It's a huge show headlined by Carl Frampton and featuring Tyson Fury, and it is a dream shot for Paddy Barnes in just his 6th fight. Here's what he told Steve Lillis.
Paddy, 6th professional fight, fighting for a world title. Did you really think you'll get that chance? Because I remember when I first interviewed you, you'd turned pro.
You said, I'm going to fight for the world title in my 6th fight.
It's crazy, like, you know, I predicted it, but just because it's a team around me, you know, it's MTK. They're working extremely hard behind the scenes to keep me in this fight. You know, I'm ranked highly, like it's the WBO, IBF, I'm ranked WBC in top 16, sorry. So, you know, Rosales is doing a defence, and to choose me, thankfully, and it's just unbelievable.
He calls a massive upset beating Higer, whether Higer missed the weight or what.
Yeah.
Nobody expected it. So what sort of task is in front of you?
Higa fight, I don't really look too much into it because he was messed up with the weight. But Higa's a really fun anybody here. Like, he's 15 KOs. Never fought the other Japan, so it's hard to judge people like that. Rosales, he's fought all around the world. He's only lost to elite fighters. You know, Yafai, Selby, top class fighters. That's the only blemish in his record. I feel like I can be up there. You know, I feel I'm better than him. I feel that what he does well. He's a fighter, but that's all he is. He can't box, and I can be both. And hopefully on the night, I can show people how good I really am.
Is it your skills that win you the fight and not getting involved in a toe-to-toe for 12 rounds?
It is, but a part of me wants to be involved because I want to be a good champion. I want people to be talking about me. You know, don't be this. It'd be nice to outbox somebody. I don't think I could outbox him like for 12 rounds. I want to stand there and have a war and give the crowd something to enjoy.
But surely your skills, though, could
my
make
skills,
it an easy night for you, possibly. Not an easy night, but a more comfortable night.
Yeah, both of us fight. And the exchange is actually best because I have the better shot selection.
You've done fantastic things as an amateur, created history with all your medals and stuff. But is this the fight that sorts out where you stand in Irish boxing history?
Most definitely. You know, I'm really very good history as an amateur. Now I have the chance in my hometown to create history as a professional. And this fight will define me.
And you turned pro, and I think, I've followed watching your early pro fights. It looked a bit of a shock to you when you was in the ring, some of the things.
Yeah, people asked me what was going on, but the main thing was the gloves. They're so small, and like I used to go forward with my hands up, take all the punches in the gloves, but professional boxing you cannot do that. And it took me about 3 or 4 fights to get used to it. 4th and 5th fight, I was used to it. Now I'm ready for anything now, definitely.
Where are yourself and Danny Vaughan and the team going for the fight? Is it Marbella or Scotland or Liverpool?
I think we're going to train in Glasgow and fly sparring partners in.
You didn't fancy Marbella in the heat, or was it just too hot this time?
No, I just like Glasgow. I don't know why. Glasgow's a great city. I'm comfortable training there, and we'll have all the facilities there that we need, and sparring partners won't be an issue to fly them in.
What's it like having Jamie Conlan around you? Living, breathing, just talking boxing 24/7.
Jamie Conlan's brilliant because he earns number clothes, doesn't watch and all, so it's a bit unfortunate he won't be here this camp to be off for me.
So who's going to be your bitch for this camp washing?
Well, I've 2 here actually. I've got Sean McComb and Tyrone McKenna. So actually Sean McKenna won't be in this camp, he's fighting like 2 weeks against Jack Catterall. But Sean McComb, he'll be my bitch for this camp.
If Tyrone beats Jack Catterall, everyone will be having to carry him around on his shoulders around.
100%. It's going to be. I'm more expecting to beat Jack Catterall because Sean's looking unreal in sparring, and he's flying at the minute.
And brief word, fighting with your great mate Carl Frampton on this build up. That's also a dream come true.
It's crazy, like we've met since we were kids, and it's hard to. Years and years ago, you never say to her, well, I mean, you're going to fight at the bill in Windsor Park. It's ridiculous to even think that, but it's happening. It's crazy, and I'm so excited.
Did you always like each other? Because wasn't there a bit of rivalry at first?
Yeah, well, when we were 13, that's when we met. Then we fought each other 4 times. He hit me 3, should be 2. He's like, I was thinking back, should be 2. He's on a curve, he says. But at that there, like, because our club we would say each other's across the pitch line, and he would train my club a lot. His coach would bring over for sparring out there, and we were on the Irish team together for years too. So built a friendship. I was the best man on the bat and all too. So.
And he's fighting Luke Jackson, who you seem to know.
Luke
as well.
Jackson, he's a friend of mine too. So he's from the Olympic Games and Commonwealth Games and World Championships. So I can be friendly with all boxers from different countries, but Luke's is definitely one of my friends. Like.
And finally, Tyson Fury.
Big maniac. You know what? Such a gentleman, and people stating him for his last fight. It wasn't his fault. You know, he's had a long layoff, had a lot of it to lose, and it took him a few fights to get back into the swing of things.
Who's the biggest madman on the bill, you or Tyson?
Definitely Tyson. Jesus,
More
no
mad than
doubt
you?
about it. I'm not mad. I'm saying
compared to Tyson.
Exactly.
Steve, have we ever had a leprechaun lift a WBC world title?
Well, we've had plenty of small men, but as I say, not a leprechaun like Paddy. An absolute lovable character. If you don't follow him on Twitter or anything, follow him, because this guy, when he gets together with Frampton and Mick Conlan there, he's a pleasure to just watch his tweets fly through. It's great. You know, he said he wanted to win a world title after 6 fights, and it's been delivered to him by Frank Warren and MTK. Yeah. It's a hard assignment. Let's not kid ourselves. But you know what? This is why, you know, we're going back to what you compare these guys that can be pushed and can't be pushed. Paddy Barnes, can't be many more boxers in the world with more amateur experience. And of course, flyweights, you can go earlier, and he can go in his 6th fight for this fight against Christopher Rosales for the WBC belt. It could be one of those nights where he's the underdog, but a bit of Warrington Selby to it. You're a hero at home. I think you gave me an analogy of Warrington Selby last week, Dev. Someone did. If it wasn't you, I apologise to that person.
No, I'll take credit anyway.
Yeah, you take the credit. And it could be that night. 20,000 people packed into Windsor Park, boiling hot night, middle of August. Your best mate is on the bill. You know, Carl Frampton. Millions watching at home on TV. You've been back page news all week. And suddenly, this is the night it all falls together. And you know what? Paddy's speaking like someone, like, even if he wins this and defends it 6 times, he says, this is the night that will define my career. He's correct.
Yeah, absolutely. And he mentioned there that part of him wants to get involved in a tear-up with Christopher Rosales, and he wants to stand there and put on a war for the crowd to enjoy. Surely, Steve, that is ill-advised with his skill set, right?
No, don't do that, Paddy. Don't do that. Now, whether that's Paddy having one of his jokes when he was telling me last week and he pulled you to one side and told you he was going to have a war, don't believe a word of it. Because if he does, that's madness. If he does, I just don't see how he can win against a man who's big at the weight, battle hard and plows forward. It's all about skills paying the bills on this night.
Absolutely. And ultimately, the crowd just want to see him winning his world title and lifting it up. And that is the iconic memory. Not necessarily that he got involved in a tear-up and then he got chinned. We don't want to see that, Paddy. Come on, be careful out there. So he's giving a lot of credit to his team for putting this fight together. He says it's mad that he predicted it. Wow, he's got it in his 6th fight, Steve. This is quite something. How come it's happened so quickly?
Well, look, flyweights can be moved on quicker. You've got an unfashionable champion who knows what it's like to win on the road. I mean, look, you know, don't forget, Rosales is very good, but he's not the greatest flyweight in the world. He's lost to Cal Yafai, Andrew Selby, both world-class boxers, and Cal Yafai has a version of a world title now at Superflight. Andrew Selby is fantastic, but we're talking a man here who knows what it's like to win on the road. He went and took the title from Higa in Yokohama, Japan in April, I think it was. That was a stunning win, even though Higa didn't make the weight. And, you know, there was a hyped guy in Italy, I think he's a Moroccan called Abadi, who was getting a lot of publicity in Italy. He went in there last year and bashed him up. So he knows
bashed up Abadi.
Yeah, bashed up Abadi, yeah. And he knows what it's like to win on the road. So, you know what, they'll look at this, the Nicaraguans camp, say, hey, you know, Paddy Barnes, great amateur, not a big puncher, 5-0, we're bigger, we'll go abroad again. And all respect to Nicaragua, which I'm told is a beautiful country, and they got a WBO convention there later this year. I shouldn't think there's the money for him in his home country to defend his world title. So he's going to have to be a road warrior.
And pardon my stereotyping here, Steve, but one thing I know about these little Nicaraguan fellas is that they are tough as old boots. I've seen Zelfa Barrett. I think he was in with one the other week. I've seen Leon Woodstock. He was in with, I think it was actually the same guy the other week. And they are they're not going anywhere. You can punch them in the head for 8 rounds solid, which is what Zelfa and Leon were doing, and they're not going nowhere. You're just standing there hurting your hands.
Yeah, you look at Rosales, go and look at a picture of him, anyone who's listening, and he's got that baby face about him, but he's got the look of a really hard man who's had a tough upbringing about him. You know, you look at his face of Mexican guys sometimes, Mexican fight, they've got these baby love faces, but they have these eyes and these steely cheekbones that tell you they put the N in nasty. Rosales is that type of guy, and he's only 23. He's nearly 5'7". So, for a flyaway. It's a big ask for Paddy, but we'll all be there on the night just rooting for him.
Yeah, the Belfast crowd will be roaring him on. That is August the 18th at Windsor Park. Another huge night for the city. Carl Frampton, Tyson Fury on the show. There are still some tickets available, although they did absolutely fly on the opening day of sales. Go to frankwarren.com to pick up your pair. Earlier this month, unbeaten middleweights Troy Williamson and Jack Flatley fought to an entertaining draw at the Manchester Arena. Now, some are calling it the best 8-round contest they have ever seen. Now, Williamson was adamant that he won the fight and demanded that his voice was heard on the BoxNation podcast. So Steve Lillis asked him how he felt about some of the controversial scoring from the referee's card.
Well, obviously, like you say, I'd have liked to see the scorecards. Obviously, I didn't get to see them. Obviously, a lot of people have their own opinions on the fight. Obviously, his fans are obviously going to say he come back and he's won. He obviously agrees that he thought he'd done enough. But like you say, obviously, it was a competitive fight. Obviously, he was always in it. He's a very tough lad. There was some close rounds. I'm not denying that, but I definitely thought I'd done enough to win the fight. By, like you say, a good couple of rounds. I thought I'd have probably given two rounds at a push.
Really? So you've had yourself well ahead then if you consider the first round. As you say, we don't know the cards, but it should have been a 10-7.
Yeah, well, like you say, obviously the referee hasn't given it a 10-7. From what I've been told, I think the referee gave it a 10-9 round. With obviously the referee must have thought Jack was winning the first round up until the knockdowns. So, like you say, if it was a 10-7 round, obviously, how does that work out? That the referee's only giving me one more round after that. You know, so like he's giving 6 rounds out of 8, which there's no way in a million years he won 6 rounds. But like it is what it is. Obviously, I just got to move on from that.
But you must take satisfaction when people say it's one of the greatest 8. John Evans, who's one of our regulars on BoxNation on shows. He's the person who told me it was the best 8-rounder he's ever seen, and he's watches boxing all over the world.
Yeah, obviously, I'm happy. Obviously, I'm happy people obviously seeing the fight and they're saying about it. Yeah.
I mean, what is it going forward now? Are you, Jack and yourself going to have an immediate rematch?
I haven't heard what's happening next. I heard an interview saying that he's thinking of going down the weight to suit a welter. That's a possibility for myself as well. Obviously, I sat down with my coaches and they've been saying it for the past couple of fight camps for the past couple of months. My coach Craig Carney, he reckons I could do super welterweight day before weigh-in. So who knows? Obviously, the future's bright. I'll be a massive super welter. Hopefully, we can get it on, whether it be super welter or middleweight.
You're not the smallest middleweight.
No, I'm big for the middleweight, but obviously I can do the weight. It's not, I wouldn't say comfortable. I have to diet and I diet hard. Obviously, I live the life. I don't go out partying. I don't drink. Just obviously smoke. So if I can get down to middleweight without drying out, who knows? You never know. Super welterweight might be in my division.
Yeah, it's interesting. You don't smoke. You don't drink. You don't go out. What's it like for a 26-year-old? Young prospect, good-looking lad and his mates are all out all the time. What's it like for you when they're all going out at weekends? Has it always been like that? You've never gone out and enjoyed yourself in that sense?
Yeah, well, I can go out and enjoy myself without having a drink. If I haven't got no fight dates coming up and I don't need no early nights, I can go out down the town and I don't need a drink to have a good night. I just hang out with a funny crowd. So yeah, obviously like. My fun night will be going down seeing everyone drunk. Everyone drunk, showing themselves up.
Are you the one that rings them up the next morning and tell them what they've done to make them feel worse?
I'll be videoing them.
I've got to get your Instagram account then, mate, if that's what you video.
Well, you'll see is dogs on the Instagram account. Dogs, I've got about 12 dogs.
What do you breed dogs to support your income from boxing?
Yeah, but I've got a few pet dogs, but obviously I've got a little whippet that I work. I go out do a bit of lamping with her. Like you see, obviously I do that in my spare time as a hobby. But yeah, I've got Chihuahuas and Pomeranians I breed.
So that keeps you busy.
I haven't got no sponsors that give me income at the minute, so obviously you've got to make some money somewhere. So.
It's a bit of a surprise you haven't got a sponsor given your amateur career, and although you've only had a pro 18 months, you've still managed to get 8 fights in 18 months.
Yeah, I think I've been pretty active, especially over the last couple of months. Which obviously it's a good thing really, because it keeps me in the gym, keeps my weight down. But like yourself, I don't live in a city. We only live in a little small town in Darlington in the north east. So I think if I lived in a city like you say, Manchester, London, so obviously there's a big opportunity to get sponsors. But if I keep grinding away, obviously getting the results that we look for, hopefully sponsors come to me.
I mean, is there any indication when you'll be out next, or is that it now till September?
Yeah, obviously I think it will be. I think that will be it till about September, October. Like you said, I don't really want to be out until September, October, to be honest, because I'm going away in July for a week. So obviously, to be 100% right, October would be perfect time for me, really. But I haven't got no dates yet.
I mean, and what are you looking to how are you looking to move on in the next 12 months, ideally?
Like you said, it's all down to my team. Obviously, my management team, MTK, and obviously Frank Warren. But like you say, obviously, I just take whatever they offer me. Obviously, I'll fight anybody. So obviously, if it makes sense and it gets me up the ladder, obviously I'll take the fight.
Well, I think it says a lot about you, like it did Jack Flatley. He was 11-0 at the time. You were 6-0, unbeaten prospects, fighting early in the career.
Yeah, I think that's what it's all about. Like you say, obviously you see Lawrence Okoli. He's fighting all the unbeaten fighters. There's not many people doing it, but like you say, obviously, if you want to be the best, you got to beat the best, and you got to take risks in your career. It's a shame not many fighters or not many promoters want to put the fighters in them sort of fights.
And I noticed you beat Alistair Warren in your full fight. He had a big win the other night against Marcus Morrison.
Yeah, I've seen that. Looked like a bit of an upset, to be honest with you. Obviously, there was a lot of hype about that Marcus Morrison. Sometimes them hype fighters, they get found out, and I think there's still plenty of them out there, but obviously there's no hype about me. I train hard, I don't work my mouth on social media, and I get in the ring and I do the business. So I think it's these fighters that are saying they're going to do this, they're going to do that, and when they don't do it, it comes back and it bites them in the ass.
Well, that was Troy Williamson. Steve, talk to me about that fight then. It seems to be shrouded in a bit of controversy.
Unfortunately, I didn't see the fight, Dev, to say who won, who never won. All I know, what good judges like John Evans have told me, that it was a great fight. But obviously, I just find it hard to fathom that if it was the first round was a 10-7 to Troy Williamson with 2 knockdowns, which should have been. It's hard to see how a fight can end up 76-76. Unfortunately, the border control don't allow referees to speak to people, so the media. So we don't know, and it's just hearsay that John Latham scored it 10-9. But what we do know is it's fantastic that 2 unbeaten prospects were taking each other on so early in their career, and let's get the rematch on. Because so many people are talking about it.
Absolutely, and I'm sure we will see that rematch before long. They're 2 highly touted prospects, and they still don't have a loss on their record, so I'm sure we're going to see it again. So, Steve, it's that time of the week again. I've been looking at you. You've been looking at me. We know that there is something brewing. I alluded to it earlier in the show. Tell me, what you talking about, Lillis?
What you're talking about, Lillis, he isn't going to be slaughtering anyone, hanging them up on a noose and finishing them off. I'm going to give a hug to O'Hara Davis. Now, I expect to get some abuse for this because, yeah, he gets plenty of abuse. But you know what? I've been around him a bit the last few months. Been fantastic to interview and deal with. And he's showing it by his performances in the ring. Forget the Ahmed Ibrahim points win in May at Ellen Road. That was his first fight since last September, and there's been a lot happening in his life since then. Let's be fair about it. A lot of publicity. He came in against Paul Kamanga the other night, and I thought he was fantastic. He looks so strong at the weight. He looks ridiculous. His upper body. If you saw a picture of him upper body, you think you were looking at a middleweight. He's ridiculously strong. The reach, you just don't even know how long the arms are. And to do that to Paul Kamanga with what I think is knockout of the year so far took some doing. And it must be hard for him in the corner because he's still waiting for his trainer, Carlos Moreno, to get his license through. So Barry Smith did a great job in the corner with him the other night, and it's just getting bigger and better for him. I'm sure he's going to have one eye on the Jack Cattrall Tyrone McKenna winner. And if that winner is Cattrall, what a great fight Davis against Cattrall is. It's one of those can't miss domestic fights. The needle's real. They can both fight. It's a fight dreams are made of. Of course, we can't overlook Tyrone McKenna this weekend. And, O'Hara Davis, if he could come through Cattrall, he would be within touching distance of a world title fight. He's turned his career around fantastically since the Josh Taylor setback, and I've got to praise him for that the other night. I thought he was fantastic, and he's not getting the credit he deserved for beating a decent enough opponent.
And it really was a stunning knockout. And you mentioned about how his body looks like his upper body looks like a middleweight body. His arms are like down by around his ankles. I've never seen anything like it. The reach is unbelievable. But yeah, it was good to see.
You speak to any boxer who's faced him, what's he like? They talk about his toughness, how unorthodox he is, and those arms. They said you do not know how long those arms are for someone who, what is he? He must only be about 5'6", 5'7". I think officially he's reached something like 71 inches I saw somewhere, but it appears even longer. He's like an eagle, isn't it, when it comes out that?
It really is. Well, let's keep an eye on O'Hara Davis. If he gets that Cattrall fight, wow, it could be Tyrone McKenna. You can't overlook a 6'1" southpaw. I mean, how can you do it? I mean, from where I stand, I definitely can't overlook a Tyrone McKenna. So lots of exciting stuff coming up, and a good little segment there, Steve. So it's a big hug for O'Hara Davis.
Big hug and love for O'Hara Davis this week. But keep behaving yourself, O'Hara. You don't want to get in the bad books of Lillis, my man. You do not want to do that. However charming you've been to be around on the few times I've come to see you and how welcoming, you're in the good books, mate, right now.
Well, Steve, it's not just Belfast this Saturday night live on BoxNation. No, we are heading to Oklahoma City at 1 a.m. It's Gilberto Ramirez, the WBO World Super Middleweight Champion. He's back. He's fighting Alexis Angulo, and he's defending his title. Steve, what do you know about Angulo?
Oh, he's Colombian, and he's 23-0. And the one thing I will say about these Colombians is that they're usually rough, tough. They're not scared of punching you low, punching you high. They give anything. They put everything into it. Look, he's 23-0. He holds the WBO Latino Super Middleweight title. He's knocked out 20, which suggests he can bang a bit. But the show's all about Ramirez and how good he can be. I remember a few years ago, Bob Arum was quoted is that Ramirez and Oscar Valdez were going to become his pay-per-view stars of the future. I think Ramirez had some injury problems and they've held him back a bit. But, he's got this deal now, Bob Arum, with ESPN. And Ramirez is very much part of that deal. Look, he's a good enough fighter. The win over Jesse Hart last September told us a lot about him. But he's in a division where there's a lot more people who are considered better. Not a lot more, but you consider James DeGau's ahead of him. Jules Groves is ahead of him. David Benavidez is getting rave reviews. There had been hope he'd be fighting Benavidez. Benavidez signed with Top Rank, but changed his mind and went back to where he was before he was released by Top Rank. So that's fallen through for him. So I should think what Ramirez has got to look at now, if he doesn't look like the Benavidez unification, maybe he'll look at the winner of Callum Smith and George Groves in the Super Series to give him the fight that's going to get him that recognition. I mean, he's 37-0, 25 KOs, a big southpaw, big at the weight, but he needs to get that global exposure. Obviously, the ESPN deal is helping him, and I want to see him have breakout fights now. He's no longer a baby, is he, as such? He's only 27 and looks young. He's been a pro for 7 years, I think, now. So it's time for him to go into big fights and for Top Rank to match him in them.
Absolutely. You kind of get the feeling he hasn't truly kicked on since picking up that title. He beat Arthur Abraham. So they managed to get Arthur Abraham out of Germany for that fight. He went over to Las Vegas. I think it was on the undercard of Pacquiao Bradley. And the the rubber match that they had, and that's where Ramirez really shone. You know, he made Arthur Abraham look in a way that only really we'd seen Carl Froch make him look. So we thought, oh, okay, this is a real guy we've got here. But he's been kind of matched a bit modestly since that. Is it fair to say, Steve?
Arthur Abraham was the right fight, right time. Brilliant matching by Bob Arum's team there.
Yeah.
The Max Bursak fight, Bursak was poor. I think he got deducted points in a couple of rounds. It was just a one-sided. The Jesse Hart fight was quite close. That was a good fight, and Hart's a very good super middleweight. To me, that's the standout fight. And although Hart's moaning about the decision and saying a knockdown cost him the fight, you know, he deserved to win that. So that shows you he's a good fighter. But the Habib Ahmed fight was very disappointing. You know, it really was. And Gulu's another fight. We're expecting him to come through. We really do need, you know, if he's going to live up to Bob Arum saying he's a Mexican pay-per-view star of the future, we got to see him move on and go in these big fights. He's 37-0 now.
Absolutely. Well, that's Gilberto Ramirez against Alexis Angulo. It's this Saturday night. It's live on BoxNation. We are not just going to Belfast. This is what we do at BoxNation. We will take you all over the world. We're going to Oklahoma City from 1 a.m. to watch Gilberto Ramirez defend his WBO World Super Middleweight title. Just stay up. You know, it's going to be a great night on Saturday. Watch your Conlan show and then watch this guy. It's all good. Just, I mean, what are you going to do on Sunday? Don't worry about it. Yeah, enjoy it. Now we are a 24/7 boxing channel here at BoxNation. Here's what's coming up. So Thursday, 7:30 p.m. Watch back the entire Martin Murray versus Roberto Garcia show. We talked about it earlier. You can watch it back. Anthony Yarde stops someone. Daniel Dubois stops someone. Martin Murray is involved in a foul-fueled fight with Roberto Garcia, and Ahura Davis scores one of the knockouts of the year. It's Thursday. It's 7:30. It's on BoxNation. Now, Friday, 2 o'clock. How about this? Now, I'm sure my man Steve Lillis would have been ringside for this, cheerleading. How about this? Barry Jones versus Wilson Palacios for the vacant WBO World Super Featherweight title. Steve, give me a line.
That was his night, and I was there. And you know what? I was moaning that I was there, and that's terrible to Barry Jones. Moaning I was there the night I was at. He won the world title. It was also the night Robin Reed lost to Sugar Boy Malinga. But do you know what? Do you know what it was that night? While I'm annoyed I was there. I got sent there by my newspaper because they was a bit tight for cash around Christmas and the budget wasn't in for the next year. And do you know why I was sent there? What I was missing that night? I can remember it so well. I was missing Nazim Hamed against Kevin Kelly in New York. Fall for the love of Barry.
It was a double header, wasn't it?
It was, mate. You've got it. You remember. You know what? If you can remember that, you've been fibbing about your age.
Say no more, Steve. As Dev taps
20 years
his nose.
ago.
Yeah, I just know stuff. You know, I just pick things up. I read stuff. I listen. I pick stuff up, Steve. But Barry Jones, have you told him that you regretted seeing him lift the world title? I mean, that's a horrific thing to say.
Nah, Barry will lose it with me.
He'd lay you out. Straight up, he'd lay you out.
He'll see red, do me with a body shot, and then 20 seconds later, be my pal.
That is Barry Jones. Shook his hand the other day. He gave me a real firm handshake. He's one of them, and my hand's still kind of reeling. But Barry Jones, you'll see him Friday at 7 o'clock live. It's Bunce's Boxing Hour. He will be on that sofa alongside Steve Bunce. They'll be looking forward to Mick Conlan's homecoming. They'll be looking forward to Gilberto Ramirez. It's another cracking show. It's free to air on Sky Channel 427. Now, after that, Friday, 8 o'clock. Now, you heard us announce the new output deal with MTK the other week. We already got one in place with Top Rank. Well, here's another one for you. We've linked up with Lou DiBella. Yeah, Big Lou. We've linked up with him. It's another output deal. And the first one of the deal is this Friday night at 8 o'clock. It's delayed coverage of a cracking little show from the Melrose Ballroom in Queens, New York. And here's something to look out for. The referee for the main event fight is a man who has shunned me, a man who ghosted me when I messaged him, a man who Caspered me on other things. I heard that one on EastEnders last night. So they talked about caspering someone. Just means ignoring. But he just kind of, he didn't want it. And I found out he didn't want to be part of the podcast. And it is, of course, Mr. Steve Willis. So he's the referee there. So check him out. He'll be doing all the faces, you know, doing all of that. And yeah, that's Friday at 8 o'clock. Saturday, 7:30. He's coming home. It's Conlan versus Dos Santos. It's Cattrall McKenna. It's King Kong Carroll against Declan Geraghty. It's live and it's on BoxNation. Steve, just give me a line telling me how buzzed and hyped you are about that.
Fantastic fight. Michael Conlan's homecoming, first time home in over 7 years. Atmosphere is going to be electric in Belfast. Look, I expect him to be extended by Adelson Dos Santos, but win. But it's not just about Conlan for boxing fans. Cattrall McKenna, almost a world title eliminator. Carroll Geraghty, it puts the H in hate, that fight. The Needles more than 4 years old from their first fight. McCulloch at Ham have been going at it in the press against each other. Gary Corcoran's back. Lewis Crocker's on the bill. Sonny Edwards is on the bill.
God, what a sell there, Steve. You've done it. You've sold it. But that's not all. It's a double header on Saturday night because at 1 a.m., as we talked about, we've got world title action from Oklahoma City. Gilberto Ramirez defends his crown against Alexis Angulo, a tough, wild Colombian. It's going to be a cracking show. And we're adding fights all the time, by the way, to the BoxNation schedule. Keep an eye out. Follow us. You know, see what we're doing on social media. Have a look on the Twitter. Have a look on the Facebook. Have a look on the Instagram. Have a look at our stories. Yeah, we've got stuff going up on there as well. Just check it all out because we're adding fights all the time. Now, we're going to go on a bit of a summer break here. I've got holidays coming up. Steve, you got holidays coming up. The producer's got holidays coming up. So, yeah, Steve, are you going anywhere nice?
I'm off to Spain for a couple of weeks.
Very nice indeed. I'm going to Greece. So
lovely. Nice, Mykonos, is it?
No, it's Eldermodo, something like that. I don't know. It looks really good up in the mountains. Great, you know, great view, all of that kind of stuff. So it'll be good.
All the trendy people go to Mykonos. So
okay. So what are you saying about me?
I'm just saying all the trendy people go to Mykonos, and Mr. and Mrs. Sani married almost a year in August. Happy anniversary for August.
Thank you.
You should be going to Mykonos. You're cool people. You're the cool people of Kent.
Well, perhaps we can suggest after a year of marriage we are no longer cool and trendy. But I would fiercely argue with that. So, Steve, another week, another great show. You know, let's go on our little break. And did you enjoy yourself?
I always enjoy myself doing this podcast and look forward to doing it again very soon.
Well, remember to tweet us any comments at BoxNation TV, at Steve Lillis, at Sani Dev, and of course, you've got to subscribe to the best boxing channel in the world, 24/7 boxing. Subscribe at BoxNation.com. There's output deals here, there, and everywhere. There's fights coming in from at home, fights coming in from abroad. We just bring you boxing 24/7.